It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful empowered harmonizers. And we are zooming in and focusing in today on a great viewer question. And that is, how do you make your way out of the muck in life, especially if you found yourself kind of in a bad place? Perhaps you're surrounded in an environment which is not open to and supportive of your strengths. You feel like you're living under your potential. You're not really doing what you're meant to do, supposed to do. You're feeling sort of held back. And this really feels like a heaviness, a weight, a block, or as this viewer had stated, kind of like the muck, like you're driving or dragging yourself through the emotional muck. You're not really sharp. You're not really happy. You're not really feeling balanced. You're feeling sort of dragged down in the dark, unhappy, just sort of in a funk. And it's to understand that this, when you found yourself situations like this, I really, liken it to becoming aware of what I call NOD thinking, or negative orderly direction thinking, or awareness, behaviors, choices, decisions, and feeling states. When you find yourself in these bad places, it's to understand the cause that's created the effect, or what has landed you there. And I call that NOD thinking, negative orderly direction thinking, behaving, feeling choices, and feel states. Basically that have gotten you into this funk, into this groove, into this set of thought patterns, which, as Dr. Joe Dispenza states, we think about 90 to 95,000 thoughts per day, and 90 to 95% of those also are the same thoughts that we thought the day before. So in other words, there's a very, very small percentage of different thoughts that we think on a daily basis. So a lot of, so in other words, we have, by virtue of our neurogenesis, the neurons, which are basically the type of cells that are in your brain matter, which then create your autonomic and central nervous system, are hardwired. So in other words, neurons or neural pathways that wire then fire together. In other words, they become stronger and stronger as time goes on. The more that they are reinforced, the more that you give them effort or attention. So you yourself, by virtue of your humanness, have a propensity either to get out of pain and into pleasure, or perpetuate the pain because you are so hardwired to feel this pain. In other words, you then pour gasoline on the fire of your own thought patterns, your own feel patterns. You then perpetuate and exasperate and continue to negatively focus on these negative thought patterns, this funk, what the viewer so aptly stated as saying, the muck of their feel state. So when you are in this place, it's to understand that the neural pathways which have landed you or brought you there then need to be unconditioned, stripped away, dissolved, de-identified with. This comes with a certain responsibility and actual joy, which is the understanding of epigenetics or neuroplasticity, which is the ability for the brain to rewire and refire itself. So it's kind of like a hard drive on a computer. It's getting a new set of software, or a new software that then re-ups or re-uploads a new advanced operating system. So it's like what's running the computer, or like the engine that's running a car. This is to understand that you can rewire, like the wires of a car, your own neural pathways. This is neurogenesis. This does take attention, focus, and desire in order to do this. So it's not like you just wish it into being, although wishing might help. It is getting into a state of awareness, which then is your natural be state. So it's to understand and de-identify with your thoughts for a moment, and to get into the understanding that all the negative thoughts, all the negative decisions, all the negative behaviors, which I call negative orderly direction thinking, which is like a blueprint, which has gotten you into the valley of your life, a down state. You're sort of not feeling sharp. You're feeling unhappy. It is to understand that you have perpetuated and promulgated, which means to sort of initiate and continue to keep into play or into motion are these negative thought forms. In other words, you're rememorizing and rehearsing them as you continue to think them over and over again. My life sucks. This will never get better. This person bothers me. I will never be able to do this. I'm not able to do that. All these pronouncements, your self-talk, keep that into place. So if you look at the percentage, during the course of your day, and you're able to get into metacognition, which really means the ability to observe what you're thinking about, that is where you need to go and undo the thoughts. It's to get into a very sort of Zen-like state where you're able to just become pure awareness or pure consciousness, where you're able to de-identify with the negative thoughts, feelings, behaviors, thought forms, energy forms, B states that have kept you there. So it's to de-identify with them. And then to say to yourself, those are just my thoughts. Those are just my thoughts. That was all just a result of my thoughts. All that I have right now is just a property or a product of my thoughts. Everything that I have right now is all but a product of my thoughts. So when you come into this awareness, it's to understand that everything you have brought into your life, including the people, the objects, the things, the routine, what you have, what you own, including your feelings that you have promulgated, those are nothing but the result of your own thought forms. So to do that, you really then begin to understand that all that has been promulgated or been created by that. And so to do that, you then sort of liberate yourself from that, because you're able to then not only see, but then disidentify, or get some awareness of that has then led you here, and then to let go of those thoughts, that negative orderly direction thinking. So you need to become aware. And I also get a lot of viewers who ask, what do you mean? Is it to let go? It's to let it go. It's to understand that when you hang on to something, is when you hang on to your identity, your thought form, you're holding on to a memory. You're holding on to it. It's there with you. If you're to meet a new person, the first thing you're going to tell them about yourself is ABC, XYZ. These are the feeling states that you hold on to. This happened to me when I was 5. This happened to me when I was 13. This happened to me when I was 25. This happened to me when I was 27. You're holding on. So if you think of it, if you become aware of it and you are triggered, or you enter into a fear state, even if it is, with the people who you consider your biggest challenges in your life right now, those people who are emotionally manipulative, those people who are condescending, those people who give you the look, you are triggered. These people bother you. Even though you might want to say, well, nobody bothers me, nothing bothers me. Those feelings are within you. They're not within the other person. You have to understand that these are housed in your own body. And so it is then to de-identify with the thoughts, the meaning, the feel states that have kept you hanging on to this. So to experience that instantaneous relief and to get out of the muck is to say, this muck is nothing but a thought form. This is nothing but my ego that's put this into place. And then to let it go, because to realize it's only what people might say is a grid or a matrix, or a feeling of being trapped, or some people saying, I'm imprisoned by this person. In other words, how does this person have the key to set you free? How did that come to be? That's nothing but a thought form. So it's to understand that then your ego, which was perhaps created when you were unaware, unenlightened, unconscious, being manipulated in the past. So that was put into place, and the meaning was also put into place as well. So everything that you're identifying or deriving your feeling state from is derived from the meaning that you assigned to it. So whether it's significant, not significant, core to your being, not core of your being, is primarily up to you. It's in your jurisdiction. It is in your wheelhouse. It is in your power to remove, extricate, dissolve, let go from. So it's to understand that holding on or staying in the muck, staying in that muck lifestyle, staying in the negative early direction thinking is because you are holding on to that be state, that feel state, that thought state. You're holding on to it. I am a victim of abuse. I was abused. I was manipulated. I was shut down. I was treated like an object. I was targeted. So all of these things that you're defining yourself are what you're holding on to. So yes, as I talk about in the book that I'm writing, it is so very important in the stream of this awareness is to have an ongoing chapter in the book of your life, which you must write for yourself. The most valuable books are the books that are blank. The great leader Jim Rohn is to have in the section of your book that you need to get a notebook and a pen, and not a little skinny one, but a thick 5-subject one, lessons learned. Write it in all caps on the top, underline it, lessons learned. And you need to become aware of the lessons that life is attempting to teach you. Life and experience is the greatest teacher. You might have had some great elementary school experiences. You might have had some phenomenal or not so phenomenal high school experiences. You might have a master's. You might have a BA. You might have a GED, or you might not be educated. I'm not sure where you're at in the spectrum. Only you know what you have prepared yourself for. So if you're continuing to flunk yourself out of life, it's to say you are not learning a lesson. There is a lesson you have not learned yet. I'm continuing to get myself into debt. I'm continuing to stay dependent. I'm continuing to be a victim. Well, it's to understand that in your lessons learned is to understand that some people, in order to sabotage you, in order to make a victim out of you, in order to get their sense of power and control, will keep you in a dependent or uninformed state. So they'll want to keep you small. They'll sabotage you, etc. They'll keep you feeling like an object until you declare and de-identify with the role, the feeling state, the negative orderly direction thinking, or the muck that this person is keeping you in like emotional quicksand. So it is to understand that certain people's behaviors, choices, presence, energy, their looks, whatever it is that this encapsulates this for you, is to say this is how this makes all this feel. And that is nothing but a thought form. So it's then to understand and come to a state of pure awareness, and to come and sort of, some people might say it's your higher self. It takes a time for you to get still and then look at this and understand that this is nothing but a thought, which is like a leaf flowing down a river, which just basically can go in and out of your awareness. It is to understand that this is negative early direction thinking, and that this has been set up and that you're holding on to it, perhaps out of just habit, perhaps out of, you're identifying, or you can't find the pleasure, you keep going for the pain. Or furthermore, what's even more deep is that people's pain then becomes their pleasure, because they would rather avoid being free, so they promulgate the holding on. So for fear of success, they hold on to the negative. That becomes their new pleasure. So we talk about people who, are in situations where they're feeling out of control, or they're sort of sadomasochistic with themselves. And it really frightens them because their failure becomes their new success. To, keep going down the road of negative early direction thinking is where they're like going right now. They're like really going, it's the old adage, if you're going to dance with the devil, you might as well lead. So you're basically leading yourself into this muck. You're basically like, yep, we're just going for the muck. We're going for the stink. We're going for the decay. We're going for the destruction. We're going for unhappiness. We're going for rage. We're going for anger. We're going for resentment. We're going there. And just thinking you're wondering why things aren't changing because you're holding on to those feeling and thought forms, which are nothing but those forms, is nothing but, what life has basically set into motion. So this might take some practice for you to get into this pure awareness and to say and acknowledge this is nothing but my thought form. So it's a really sort of very Zen, very what a lot of, monks might attain to be, is to see that they're very liberated and actually very free when you get into this state. And so you really need and perhaps desire to get into this liberated state in order to let go and then be free of and then begin to pursue the pleasure, the positive orderly direction thinking, feeling, behaving, and, sort of overall experience and existence states, which is what I call pod thinking. In other words, it's to become aware of those thoughts and then to, instead of driving yourself into struggle, driving yourself into liberation, into ease, into giving yourself what actually does create happiness, contentment, peace, and harmony with you on a daily basis. You can only become aware of that if you have times of awareness. That is what the recovery date is all about. It's allowing yourself to unplug, undo, unravel, de-identify, and dissolve the tangles, the chaos, the thought forms that have put you into that negative funk, that muck, that judgment state. And so you do need to pull away and go no contact with the people that are causing the toxicity. If it's gotten that bad, you need to unequivocally say, I apologize, but this situation has become too toxic for my liking. I need some time away so I can rejuvenate and repair myself and get free from this. This is too much. This has become too toxic for me. And I'm going to disengage and I will reinitiate contact when the slate is cleared. So you unequivocally need to confront and see when things become aware, when things have become too toxic. And you will know when this has occurred. When things, you can no longer sustain yourself. This is not working. I am surrendering. I am letting go. No matter how hard I try, it's kind of like the feeling like if I just hold on harder, perhaps it'll get better. It's like the dog that is in a collar and it's thinking if it pulls even more, the noose will loosen up. You need to let go that perpetual NOD thinking, which has caused you to become perhaps dependent on this person or feeling that you must, stay in this trauma bond, that you're anchored to the past because of this. Even if you've been doing this for 40 or 50 or 60 years, we have a lot of viewers who that's how long this has been going. Okay, amen. It's time to become aware of, have some moments of awareness and clarity. Allow yourself to go there, get clear. Even if you're resisting of it, a lot of people resist their healing. I can't, it won't, I don't know, They are in resistance. They're in the denial. They're in that rut of keeping and promulgating that going. They're afraid to let go, what it might mean for their family. Again, these are thought forms. So it's to understand and to stop that by becoming aware of these are thought forms. And to get kind of out of that. And then to disengage. So everything is the matrix. everything is the trap. Everything is nothing but a thought form. There is a higher awareness, which is pure awareness, which is right within you, which is a go-to state, is to say, this is nothing but my thought form. And to realize you have the master helm when you go there. You become pure awareness. You become your higher self. Your higher guiding system is oftentimes you don't even know it's there because you don't even go there, acknowledge and validate it, and allow it to do its thing, to purge your system, to cleanse the hard drive, to unwire those. And oftentimes it's in the muscles. It's in the clenching of the jaw. It's in your routine. It's in the clenching of your fists. It's the, in your anger or worry states, is to let those go and to realize that those are the most ineffective and inefficient or waste of time and your energy, which, by the way, is limited in the body. Now your spirit, which is part of the universe, which is eternal, that is in it, that's always going to be the infinite, that running through you. It's not like, you create, you're the creator and, the created all in one. So it's to understand, in really a spiritual practice, get into this spiritual practice, which is what your recovery date is all about. It's taking that pure awareness out and then feeding it and then nourishing it and then feeding it positive stimuli to acknowledge and validate it, and so to give it new positive orderly direction stimuli, experiences, be state, filling the inner reservoir, that inner pure awareness pond, that crystalline fortress, and then to give it positive, nourishment, lessons, experiences, and that will lead to then and build your happiness. This has to be done on a consistent and daily basis. This is a journey, but the journey will get really good. I will never heal. Again, you're feeding the negative orderly direction thinking. You need to then surround yourself with mentors and people who have healed, to go to healing places, to reinforce the awareness and to build up the strength and to live from that space. In other words, so it is the anxiety that the muck is not part of your existence. Pure awareness is your existence. It's to go there. Well, no one else is going there. Well, you deserve happiness. You deserve, and whatever that might mean for you, it might mean becoming unemployed or becoming employed. It might mean getting rid of a lot of your belongings or getting some new belongings. It might be re-upping and upgrading your recovery dates.